Good evening, friends. Let's grow still together for a moment, breathe. If every visible form of support, paycheck, praise, even the daily loaf, vanished tonight, what in you would still nourish you? Tonight we open the door to what happens when you understand why Jesus said, man, sail nutly delu. When the why dawns, fear of lack loses its oxygen. Bread becomes symbol, not source, money, medicine, relationships, channels, never cause. You stop pulling life from the world and begin witnessing life revealing itself within, then appearing as what you need when you need it. Guidance grows quiet and sure. Supply arrives without strain. Healing shifts from fixing matter to beholding truth. You discover the presence that feeds thought, body, and circumstance before a crust is broken. We're not adding anything to you. We're subtracting one illusion, that you are separate from the living source. In that recognition, decisions simplify, generosity flows, and even hunger is met from the inside out. Stay with me, because in a few moments I'll share a simple inward pause you can practice at your next meal or meeting, and it may show you why you have never lived by bread alone, what happens the first time you prove it for yourself. If this resonates, please like the video, comment one listen to affirm one presence, and subscribe for more. Bread is symbol, spirit is source. When Jesus refused to make stones into loaves, he wasn't scorning food, he was revealing order, the invisible first, the visible next. Bread is every form you and I lean on. Paycheck, diagnosis, applause, insurance, even sacred routines. Useful, yes. Holy as signs, yes. But signs are not the sun. The loaf feeds the body for an hour. The spirit that fashioned body and loaf sustains life itself. When we forget this, fear multiplies, we hoard, we hustle, we bargain with fate. When we remember, a quiet sufficiency appears and forms begin to serve rather than rule. Consider money. It is a channel, a conduit, a letter carried by the postman of Providence. If one route closes, the message does not vanish. Another route opens. Your security never sat in numbers on a screen. It abides as the life that knows how to clothe lilies and employ fishermen. To rest in that awareness is not passivity, it is intelligent alignment. Ideas arise. Where guidance clarifies, timing becomes uncanny. You move but not from hunger, rather from wholeness finding expression. Consider health. Supplements, surgeries, stretches, they can be bread. Receive them as symbols through which the animating life may appear, but do not grant them power apart from source. The body is not a machine you fuel from outside alone, it is a living temple animated from within. As you turn to the indwelling presence, fear relaxes, tension softens, and sometimes what looked immovable yields to a gentler law. Consider relationships. No person is the source of your love, your worth, your joy. People are radiant windows. When you try to drink the window, you break it and remain thirsty. When you look through, you behold the light and let it pour through you to them. Then companionship ceases to be grasping and becomes giving. You stop asking the world to fill a cup that is already overflowing at its spring. How do we practice? By letting symbol be symbol and returning, again and again, to the center. Before you eat, pause. Acknowledge, Spirit, you are the source. This bread is a beautiful channel. Thank you for your life appearing as all good. Before you enter a meeting, pause. You are the intelligence here. Think as me. Before you check an account, pause. You are my sufficiency. Show me how to serve. These acknowledgements are not magic words. They are inner posture, a reordering of allegiance. In that reordering, gratitude ripens. You bless the loaf without clinging to it. You give and receive without the tremor of scarcity. You steward channels wisely while trusting the spring. You notice that symbols shift, jobs change, markets sway, seasons turn. Yet the source remains serenely faithful, and life, responding to your inward trust, arranges itself with a grace no spreadsheet could have planned. Even spiritual means are symbols, scripture, mantra, teacher, sacrament. They are precious vessels, but the wine is the presence. Honor the vessel, drink the wine. Let the breath tutor you, inhale, receive, exhale, release. source remains. Let work become worship, show up, listen inwardly, act, leave results to the one who acts. Let giving be gratitude, not bribery. Share where you are spiritually fed, and watch circulation replace accumulation. In this rhythm, bread finds its place, and spirit is experienced as cause. From here the horizon widens, one presence, one cause, supply unfolds, not because we have convinced heaven to pay attention, but because we have ceased scattering our attention among imagined powers. When there is only one sun in the sky, shadows no longer frighten. When there is only one presence, appearances lose their authority. You stop attributing outcomes to luck, bosses, markets, moods, or even your own willpower, and you begin to notice a quiet law of correspondence. What is known within shows up without. Let this awareness become your atmosphere and your baseline of response each day. One presence means no competing sources, no rival causes, no second mind issuing counter orders. The symptoms of two powers are familiar: anxiety before decisions, resentment when people block you, grasping after opportunities, bargaining with God. As the sense of two fades, so does the strain. You are not trying to pry open doors. You are noticing the door that is already open. You are not forcing results. You are consenting to alignment. Supply, then, is not acquired. It appears as the expression of the one being itself right where you stand. How does this feel in daily motion? It feels like moving from plotting to perceiving. When need arises, instead of racing to fix it, you return to the center. One presence is here. One cause is active. You rest in that awareness until the pressure breaks, and what to do next becomes simple. Sometimes it is a phone call, sometimes a no, sometimes a creative idea that arrives complete. Sometimes the answer is patience, and while you wait, fear loosens its grip. Either way, the unfolding bears the mark of ease. Even when effort is required, there is an inner unforcedness. One cause does not cancel channels, it orchestrates them. People, timing, skills, and resources become instruments in a score you no longer try to conduct. Gratitude turns from flattery to recognition. Thank you for being a willing channel. You bless the giver and the gift without bowing to either. If one channel closes, you bless that too, knowing the orchestra has many players you cannot yet see. This keeps the heart unoffended and the hands available. Practically, cultivate single-mindedness. Not grim insistence, but gentle fidelity. Begin the day acknowledging the one here. Now there is only the presence. Throughout the day, return to it briefly and often. When fear speaks, do not argue, listen past it. When excitement surges, do not worship it, anchor within. Let the sense of a second power, economic, medical, personal, dissolve in the light of the first. As this becomes habit, you will notice provision arriving through improbable paths, and you will care less about paths than about staying in the stance of trust. Unfolding is organic. You cannot yank a bud into blossom, but you can make sure the plant has light, water, and good soil. Light is remembrance of the one, water is gratitude, soil is service. Keep tending and the blossom knows what to do. Roots deepen unseen, stems strengthen quietly, and in the proper season fragrance announces itself without proclamation. So with supply, unseen agreements form, capacities ripen, invitations arise, and what once felt distant comes as naturally as breathing. Stay faithful to the unseen work, and let outcomes keep their own pace without your struggle. Turn within first, act from silence. The world will keep bidding on your attention with alarms and offers. The practice is to let the inner bell ring first. A need appears, an email pings, a voice raises before reflex takes the wheel. You become still enough to feel the quiet seam where grace enters. In that pause, you are not withdrawing from life. You are opening the gate through which life directs you. Silence is not blankness, it is fullness without noise. The atmosphere in which the next right word or step clarifies without strain. How do you enter it quickly? By training small, frequent returns. 3 breaths. An inward acknowledgement, here you are, here I am, one presence. Shoulders drop, jaw softens, attention gathers. The mind may still chatter. You do not fight it. You listen beneath it, like hearing a river under wind. Soon, a felt sense distinguishes itself as simple yes or no, a nudge toward patience, a priority emerging from the many good options. Acting from silence reshapes timing. You discover that speed is not always haste and slowness is not delay. Some calls you make immediately, before anxiety repackages guidance into doubt. Some you save for the afternoon when the conversation will be met. Some you do not make at all, and events rearrange to render them unnecessary. This is not superstition, it is cooperation with a subtler current already organizing the day. You will notice markers that distinguish silence, guided action from impulse. The impulse carries urgency flavored with fear or vanity. It wants to prove secure or control. The silence carries clarity flavored with peace. It wants to bless, to serve, to express. The body knows the difference. Impulse tightens the chest and narrows vision. Silence relaxes the brow and expands awareness. Let the body be your barometer. In meetings, turn within as others speak. While listening to content, listen deeper for the thread of what is truly being asked. Often you will hear the answer before your turn, and it will be fewer words than you planned. In conflict, the silent turn lets you release the need to win and empowers you to ask a cleaner question, to name the value at stake, or to simply be kind when kindness disarms the whole drama. Before sending a proposal, sit a moment. Ask to be shown the honest scope, fair price, right timing. If a sentence feels forced, delete it. If the price feels apologetic, raise it to integrity. In creative work, the silence gives you the surprising bridge, the true title, the line that carries heart. In parenting, the silence shows you whether to correct, to comfort, or to invite problem solving. This practice is not passivity, it is precision. You still plan but lightly, you still act but without self-violence. The engine is different, you are moved rather than driven, and when you miss it and act from noise, as we all do, you simply stop, apologize if needed, turn back within, and begin again. Build small rituals at thresholds before opening your phone, set the intention to be a blessing. Before meals, acknowledge substance. These gestures are not for merit. They tune the instrument so the melody plays cleanly through you. Over time, others will feel it. Fewer words, better words, fewer moves, truer moves. From will to witnessing, grace does the work. You notice the shift as relief first. The shoulders drop because you are no longer carrying the universe on your back. Will tries to engineer outcomes, to push the river, to secure guarantees before stepping. Witnessing takes the stance of inner beholding. It recognizes a presence already at work and consents to be a clear window for it. The effort changes flavor. You still show up early, write the draft, make the call, but the strain of self-authorship dissolves. You are participating in an unfolding rather than manufacturing it. This is not indifference, it is a higher involvement. Will says, I must make this happen. Witnessing says, let me see what is already happening and cooperate. In sales, Will tightens around quotas and persuades. Witnessing listens for whether there is a fit at all and speaks plainly. Often the yes becomes effortless or the no arrives quickly, saving time and dignity. In caregiving, Will tries to fix a person. Witnessing honors their wholeness and offers help without invasion. And the warmth of that respect opens doors technique alone could not. The inner mechanics matter. Will contracts attention around a single storyline, usually threat or desire, and then forces action inside that tunnel. Witnessing opens attention to the whole field. Motives are seen, fears named, alternatives noticed, timing felt. In that widened seeing, a door you would have missed becomes obvious. Sometimes Grace's work appears as removal. An opportunity evaporates, a schedule clears, a partnership ends, and what felt like loss reveals itself as a precise mercy that frees you for the right thing. Prayer shifts here. It is no longer petition or metaphysical muscle, not an attempt to twist the universe with affirmations, but quiet communion, a resting in the fact of the one. You are not energizing outcomes, you are yielding your sense of a separate self to the presence that knows what to do. Words may come, but they are reports of recognition rather than attempts to convince life to be generous. From that resting, ideas rise that carry their own energy. You follow them, and they seem to pull you rather than you pushing them uphill. In the body, the difference is tactile. Will clenches the jaw, holds the breath, floods the system with cortisol, witnessing softens the gaze, lengthens the exhale, lets the chest widen. As the body trusts, the mind receives. Practice this with small tasks: washing dishes, writing a paragraph, answering a message. Say inwardly, "I'm willing to be a transparency," and watch how the simple act takes on an ease that feels disproportionate to its size. Then apply it to larger questions: a move, a diagnosis, a conflict at work. The same law, different scale. Non-resistance is part of witnessing. You are not resisting appearances with counterforce. You are depriving them of borrowed authority by resting in the presence that outshines them. This does not mean you fail to act in the world. It means your action is not a fight with shadows. You may call a lawyer, change a habit, renegotiate a contract, but you do so because you were led, not because panic demanded motion. That is why results carry peace even when they require courage. Stop outlining. Will draws detailed maps of how good must arrive and by whom. Witnessing sets direction. Integrity, service, beauty, and lets rotes reveal themselves. You'll find yourself in conversations you didn't plan, learning skills you didn't foresee, standing at thresholds you couldn't have scheduled. Yield the pen that writes other people's parts in your script, and notice how much more generously they show up when they are not being managed in your imagination. Channels change, source remains. Fear dissolves. When we require a particular pipeline to keep flowing, we hand our piece to something inherently seasonal. Jobs end, markets pivot, platforms tweak algorithms, audiences shift, treatments evolve, friends relocate, children grow, mentors retire. These are windows in the house of life. They frame the light for a time, then give room for new glass. The mistake is not loving the window. It is mistaking it for the sun. Security returns when you relocate your trust from the window to the light. Think of electricity. The outlet might be on one wall today and another tomorrow, but the grid is not nervous. Or the ocean waves change their shapes and names each moment, but the sea remains sea. So with supply, guidance, companionship, health, forms are many and moving, sources one and steady. This remembrance is not a slogan. It is a working orientation you rehearse until it feels truer than the headline in front of you. Bless channels, do not bind them. When a client, paycheck, or pathway serves, say inwardly, "Thank you for being a faithful channel." And when it shifts, say, "I release you with gratitude." The source remains. This release is not resignation, it is cooperation with a living order that keeps circulation healthy. Stagnant channels breed fear. Flowing channels keep the heart available and creative. When a channel threatens to close, practice the gentle exhale. Breathe out longer than you breathe in. Acknowledge presence. Then take the next wise human step without panic. Update the RA, book the doctor, renegotiate terms, adjust the budget, make the call. You do the footwork from steadiness, not from the story that your life is shrinking. Often the space created by the closing becomes the exact capacity needed for the opening you could not have scheduled. Be just as vigilant when channels multiply. Success can seduce you into worshipping the very pipelines that once were simply servants. When the orders pour in, when the platform grows, when the doors swing open, keep your hands open. Ask, which of these is truly mine to carry? Where am I to prune for health? Share where you are spiritually fed. Invest where integrity calls, and let excess become circulation rather than armor. Relationships reveal this law tenderly. No person is your oxygen. They are a beloved window. Hold them with open palms. Love does not diminish when forms change, it often clarifies. Grieve honestly when seasons shift, and let the grief be porous enough for new expressions of connection to arrive. This protects you from bargaining and clinging. which are fear's attempts to freeze a moving stream. Health is another teacher. A protocol that served last year may not be the right instrument now. Let guidance update your care without superstition. Receive medical expertise as a channel, not as a rival power. Ask inwardly for right providers, right timing, right dosage, then follow through attentively. Fear eases when you stop demanding certainty from methods and start drawing peace from source while engaging methods wisely in work. Diversify your listening before you diversify your revenue. One idea truly heard can open 3 right channels and close 2 costly ones. If a signature client departs, let it teach you where you over-identified. Strengthen craft, widen relational roots, and let your business become an orchard rather than a single tree. Pruning is not punishment, it is confidence in fruit yet to ripen. Make this practical with a daily inventory. Morning source, be my sufficiency. Show me the channels for today. Midday, a brief check-in. What is ending, what is emerging, what needs blessing rather than gripping. Evening, list the channels that served and the surprises that arrived, and write 1 simple sentence of release for anything you are tempted to chase or mourn beyond its season. Practice the sacred pause. Prove the principle daily. Between morning intention and evening release, weave brief, living intervals of stillness into the fabric of ordinary moments. The pause is your portable sanctuary, the place where you stop feeding fear with hurry and remember that life does not flow from bread, but through bread from the One. Make it simple, repeatable, almost invisible to the world and unavoidable to your heart. Use a small rule of life: pause, perceive, proceed, place the credit. Pause, 3 to 5 slow breaths, shoulders soft, attention gathered. Perceive, acknowledge presence and listen for the quiet lean of yes, no, wait, or not yours. Proceed. Do the next plain step without drama. Place the credit. Silently give thanks to the source, not the channel. Sealing humility and keeping circulation open, create anchors. Let doorways, phone vibrations, calendar alerts, and the feel of your hand on a doorknob become bells of mindfulness. Each bell cues 1 clear word here. 1, behold, abide. Rotate them as needed. Before you open an app, pause. Before you answer a text, pause. Before you spend or click, pause. The world trains speed, the spirit trains accuracy. The pause puts you back under the right teacher. Turn the pause into micro experiments so your faith grows by demonstration, not theory. In conversation, wait half a breath longer before answering and notice how often the wiser sentence appears. At the store, pause until peace arises, then buy or don't. At work, before sending an email with heat, pause until the heat cools. Send what remains when kindness edits the draft. In planning, pause until a true priority surfaces, then let lesser tasks rearrange around it. When urgency shouts, shorten the pause but do not skip it. 1 slow exhale can be enough to move you from compulsion to clarity. On the freeway, feel your hands on the wheel and breathe down into your feet. In a medical office, soften the belly and say inwardly, "You are here." In a negotiation, rest your tongue on the roof of your mouth, relax your jaw, and listen for the question that clarifies the whole deal. Invite others into the pause without fanfare. In a meeting, let's take 30 seconds of quiet to see what we're missing. With family, give me a minute to listen before I answer. With clients, I'll sleep on this and come back tomorrow. These small permissions honor the source in public life and normalize moving from presence rather than pressure. Keep a proof journal. Date, situation, length of pause, inner recognition, next action unfolding. Define proof first as the inward shift, from tension to trust, confusion to simplicity, then note outer results as corroboration, not validation. Over weeks you'll trace a pattern: less rework, cleaner timing, kinder words, guidance arriving through unexpected channels. Let the journal tutor your memory on days when noise is loud. Pair the pause with the body. Scan for the clench, brow, jaw, throat, solar plexus, belly, hips. Wherever you find it, breathe there until it loosens. As the body yields, the mind receives. Pair it with the voice. Speak from low and slow, allowing silence to punctuate more than emphasis. Pair it with place. Sit in one chair in your home for communion only. Let that chair accumulate quiet until simply sitting there lowers the inner static. Sabbath the day in minutes, if you can't in hours. 5 minutes in the morning, 2 between tasks, 1 before meals, 3 before bed. Consistency beats duration. And when you forget and rush and react, make a retroactive pause. Stop after the fact, breathe, clean up what needs cleaning, bless what remains, and step back into the stream with humility and trust.